Do you feel the vibes? Do you feel the vibes?
Hi guys, welcome back. So like you see, the engine is out, the cylinder block and the heads are out, and this is what we found out. A lot of carbon buildup on the cylinder 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is not so bad. The 4 looks like also a lot of carbon buildup, and like you see, I don't know you're gonna be able to see it, but the compression rings are still kind of okay, but the oil rings, they are freely moving. You know, you're gonna be able to see that, but they are still freely moving, but they are almost non-existent. They are worn out to the point where they are flushed with the piston. So that's why the motorcycle the engine was smoking really badly, and on all of the cylinders it looks exactly the same, almost non-existent oil rings, scraper rings. So the plan for today, even before we're gonna clean the engine, it's taking some measurements. We're gonna check a couple things. Of course we're gonna need the service manual, that is always recommended, and we're gonna need some basic tools, the bore gauges, feeler gauges, micrometers. This micrometer is in inch, so we're gonna have to convert. This one over here is electronic, so it's gonna show us values in millimeters. So like I said, today we're gonna take some measurements just to figure out what we need to do with the engine. The first thing is removing the pistons and measure some things. That way we can determine what we need to do. Maybe we're gonna be able just with we're gonna be able to just hone the cylinders and put a set of new rings on all of those pistons, and we're still gonna be fine. But if the pistons ring grooves they are out of the specification, we basically gonna end up with new set of pistons and boring and honing the cylinder block. So that's the plan for today. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, and how to remove the piston pin. There's like a small C-clip that holds the piston pin in place, and there is one on this side and the other side of the piston. The service manual is saying that you're supposed to have a special tool like a piston pin puller, but in our case those piston pins, they moving freely. I can see it on the cylinder 1 and cylinder 4, so I don't think so we're gonna need that special tool. Also it's a good idea to put something in the openings for the block. Of course you don't want to have something falling down like a C-clip or some kind of small tool falling down into the crankcase, and you're gonna have to split the whole crankcase to remove it. And also another thing is that carbon buildup, like you see, some of that stuff is very loose, so it comes out really, and it's extremely abrasive. So if this falls into the engine block, you're gonna have to flush it. That could cause a lot of damage. It could block some oil passages. So that's the That's the idea behind it. So we're gonna try to prevent just by stacking whatever you have, you know, like it could be old rocks. I use socks, old socks, so whatever is gonna work is gonna prevent you know, anything falling into the crankcase. Okay, let's do it. So we just removed the piston number 1 and number 4, and I also mark with the stamping set which one is it, so in the future if we're gonna have to reuse it, we're gonna know which piston goes where. And also this is what I found out on the cylinder number 2. This is unfortunately an unpleasant surprise. The C-clip is not there anymore. So like you see, the pin is moving and it's not holding anymore because it's not there. So usually when something like this happens, you can expect damage to a cylinder wall, but we're gonna inspect that later. Okay. Okay, so the pistons are out, and the service manual specifying that you're supposed to measure 5 millimeters from the edge across the piston skirt, and this is 90 degrees to the piston pin, and the standard diameter of the piston is between 69.342 to 69.357 millimeters, and the service limit, so the smallest possible diameter that it's still gonna work, it's 69 millimeters, 0.2. So let's check it out. We are definitely below the standard. And we are very close to the service limit. The service limit is 69.2. And the standard size of the piston is between 69 millimeters and 342. That's the lower limit, and the upper limit is 69.357. So we are definitely below on the piston number 3, and it's definitely recommended to take multiple measurements, different spots. Of course, both surfaces needs to be clean. Make sure that the caliper is clean. You can pick up those calipers fairly inexpensive on Amazon. You don't have to have like a very fancy. Of course, if you're planning to do some work on the engines, that's a must. Of course, you can basically give the those pistons, or you know, all of the measurements made by the machine shop, but you can definitely tell. You can do it by yourself, and just by doing this you can tell what we're gonna have to do with the engine. This one is even worse. This one is below, it's 60 hundredths of the millimeter above the service limit, so it's barely, it's very close to the service limit. So that answers the let's do it one more time. Yeah, we are very close to the service limit. So we definitely need new pistons. So measuring the piston pins or the grooves on the piston doesn't make any sense, because we're still gonna have to deal with the new set of pistons, and with piston pins, new clips. I'm gonna try to figure out how I can, maybe it's probably sitting somewhere in the crankcase, that missing piece. And let me just move the camera, but I want to check it out, take a look inside the cylinder number. I believe it was number 2 or 3, that C-clip for the piston pin was missing. Most likely we're gonna find some kind of damage to the cylinder walls. Hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, let's take a look on the head and the cylinder block. You can definitely tell that there was a leak somewhere from this area. The whole cylinder block is covered with a lot of oil. You can see, you're gonna be able to see the amount of the carbon in the head. On this one we have definitely valve stem seal broken. The whole valve is covered with a lot of oil, so that would explain also smoking. It's not only the piston rings. We're definitely gonna have to do some repair work. That's cylinder number 2, and this is exhaust port on this side. Looks kind of okay. This side also. So number 3 and 4 looks pretty decent. We're still gonna have to have a valve job done. We will measure everything, but the motorcycle, the odometer shows 51,000 miles, but I believe that there was much more on that engine. It's probably 150,000 miles. The top looks okay. I don't see any damage. I was able to remove the camshafts and the bearings for the camshafts. Everything was looking pretty good, no excessive wear. We're gonna probably put new standard bearings on the camshafts, and let's take a look in the cylinder walls. Okay, so the head is removed, and number 4 looks okay. There was barely any cross hatching left, so it's almost like glaze inside, so there's definitely plenty of miles on that, on those cylinders. And there it is, number 2. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but there's a pretty big, there we go, gash on the side over here where the piston pin was touching and basically constantly scratching the wall of the cylinder. And number 1 looks okay, but that number 2 is pretty bad, so we definitely need a new set of pistons and boring and honing. Probably there's gonna be at least one size bigger, maybe even 2. The leak from here, you can see that the gasket was probably cracked before, but that was the place where it was leaking, somewhere probably from here. You can see amount of the oil on the top of it, and the engine on the bottom is also covered with a lot of, like, you know, grime, like a wet grime. So it's basically like a mixture of oil and dust. So that's pretty much it. So this is it for today, and let's order some parts. See you next time.